On News Hour tonight, Professor Yakubu hands over to Agbamuche as INEC acting chairman. President Tinubu seeks $2.3 billion loan to bridge 2025 budget gap. Kaduna residents urge police to obey court order on tinted glass. And on the foreign scene, military court in DRC convicts 23 over rebel links. Hello, good evening, and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I am Dorcas Yakubu. Professor Mahmoud Yakubu has handed over to May Agbamuche as the acting national chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Agbamuche is the oldest serving national commissioner in the electoral body. Professor Yakubu announced this on Tuesday at the ongoing meeting with resident electoral commissioners at the INEC headquarters in Abuja. He solicited the support of the commissioners and directors of the commission for Agbamuche until the appointment of a substantive chairman.
Chairman. Thank you.
Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has formally accepted Professor Mahmoud Yakubu's departure as chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission following the expiration of his second and final tenure. In recognition of his service, the president has also conferred on him the national honor of Commander of the Order of the Niger. Special advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onuga, revealed this in a statement he signed on Tuesday titled, President Tinubu accepts INEC chairman's departure, bestows national honor on him. In a letter dated October 3, 2025, Yakubu expressed gratitude to President Tinubu for the privilege of overseeing the commission for 2 terms. Tinubu, in turn, thanked him for sustaining Nigeria's democracy and conducting elections he described as, quote, free and fair across his tenure. The president directed that the most senior national commissioner, May Agbamuche Mbu, assume the role of acting chairman pending the appointment of a substantive successor. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has accepted the resignation of Geoffrey Uche Nnaji, Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, following allegations leveled against him. Nnaji, who was appointed in August 2023, tendered his resignation in a letter thanking the president for the opportunity to serve the nation. In his letter, the former minister said he had become a target of blackmail by political opponents. Presidential spokesman Bayo Onuga confirmed the resignation in a letter issued late Tuesday. President Tinubu appreciated his service to the country and wished him success in his future endeavors. Nnaji's resignation follows an investigation report which revealed discrepancies in his academic records. According to the report, the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, disowned the Bachelor of Science degree Nnaji claimed to hold, stating that he was admitted in 1981 but did not complete his studies and was never issued a certificate. The National Youth Service Corps also said the certificate of national service presented to Nnaji could not be verified. Now, in other news, the national chairman of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, David Mark, has said Nigerians are wary of political slogans and empty statistics that fail to improve their daily lives. Mark stated this on Tuesday during the National Working Committee NWC meeting of the party in Abuja. He said the ADC was founded on the conviction that Nigeria can work for everyone and aims to build a party driven by values, not personalities. Mark listed 4 non-negotiable leadership qualities, including standard character, competence, courage, and discipline, which, according to him, will guide the party. The former Senate president emphasized that the ADC will promote internal democracy, transparency, and inclusion, adding that the supremacy of the party's constitution and institutions will override personal interests.
Sacrifice must be made. Party. We are people-oriented party, problem-solving movement. We will be sensitive to the needs of the poor and the young, sensitive to women and men, over everything, over personality. Our mission is not only to win election in 2027, it is to leave a legacy which the future generations will be proud to inherit.
The Ariwa Consultative Forum ACF has urged its members to maintain political neutrality as the 2027 general elections approach. ACF Chairman Alhaji Bashir Muhammad Al-Hatu emphasized the importance of unity and the need for members to speak with one voice on issues affecting the northern region. Trust TV's Bella Musa has more.
The meeting of the ACF Board of Trustees, with all state chairmen and secretaries in attendance at the forum's headquarters in Kaduna. The chairman of the Board of Trustees, Bashir Al-Hatu, in a remark, reiterated the forum's stance on staying neutral in partisan politics.
Political activities are apparently ramping up at all levels. It is necessary to remind ourselves, especially officials at national and state levels, as indeed all members of ACF, to continue to maintain our corporate political neutrality.
The ACF also commented on the ongoing dispute between the Dangote refinery and Pengassan, urging all parties and concerned Nigerians to place the nation's interest above personal or corporate gains.
Let me also mention the unbelievable calamity which has engulfed the newly built Dangote refinery. It strikes every right-thinking person as deeply unfathomable and unacceptable that a huge asset which ought to be our national pride and which has single-handedly rescued Nigeria from the scourge of fuel shortages, foreign exchange scarcity, and which enabled President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to comfortably scrap subsidies on petroleum products, is the one some unpatriotic unions backed by hidden cabals are working hard to cripple. These people must be told in no uncertain terms that they are working on behalf of enemies of Nigeria and Nigerians.
The meeting also discussed key issues including preparations for the upcoming ACF Silver Jubilee, the establishment of a clear protocol for official communications with the media and other pressing matters affecting the northern region. Bella Musa, Trust TV News Kaduna.
Now, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has expressed concern over the food deficit crisis in the country, declaring that more than 33 million Nigerians suffer from acute hunger. Senator Akpabio stated this in a remark at the resumption of plenary on Tuesday in Abuja after over a month recess. Akpabio maintained that the only way to address the food crisis currently rocking the country is to resort to mechanized farming. Speaking further, the Senate President drew attention to terrorism, banditry, and national grid collapse as some of the challenges facing the people and called for an immediate end to them all. Meanwhile, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, representing Kogi Central, resumed plenary at the National Assembly on Tuesday after completing her 6-month suspension.
Over 33 million Nigerians face acute food insecurity, a crisis demanding urgent legislative attention, particularly in areas of agriculture, rural roads, irrigation, and mechanization. This must be introduced. Hunger cannot be defeated with words. Hunger requires policy direction, diligent budgeting, and willpower to defeat it. Our people do not look to us for lamentations. That is not why they voted us. They look to us for action. The banners of terrorism and banditry still threaten the very countrysides of Nigeria. The cost of living weighs upon the families and all tables in the nation like iron chains.
Now, Speaker of the House of Representatives Abbas Tajuddin on Tuesday said security and electoral reforms will remain top priorities as the Third Assembly resumed from its annual recess. Abbas gave the assurance while welcoming members back from the break, noting that the responsibilities before the House were substantial and that while progress had been made, much more remained to be done. The report. The Speaker said Nigerians expected deliberate actions that would improve their daily lives, adding that the renewed hope government of President Bola Tinubu had pursued reforms aimed at stabilizing the economy, enhancing security, and attracting investment. He emphasized that such efforts required a legislature committed to rigorous oversight, sound lawmaking, and constructive engagement with other arms of government. According to him, a midterm review showed that the 10th House had been the most productive since 1999, but in legislative output and outcomes despite political and economic challenges.
Electoral reforms well ahead of the 2027 general elections. The Electoral Act Amendment Bill seeks not only to strengthen measures against violence, improve access for persons with disabilities, and establish clearer timelines for resolving disputes, but also to reduce the ambiguities that trailed the last elections.
Meanwhile, the House resolved to investigate deductions of taxes and levies from workers' salaries under schemes such as the National Housing Fund and the National Health Insurance Scheme. The decision followed the motion by Usman Kumu, who raised concerns over transparency and multiple bank charges. An ad hoc committee was constituted to probe the matter and report back within 4 weeks.
Note that lack of adequate legislative scrutiny over the deductions from the civil servants, salaries and bank charges levied across the customer account amount to unfair financial practice and exploitation of the Nigerian population.
In another motion, Representative Tijani Ismail drew attention to renewed bandit attacks in Ifelodun, Ofa, Okeode, and on federal constituency of Kwara State, where 15 people, including 11 forest guards and a community leader, were killed. The House called on security agencies to intensify operations, directed NEMA to provide relief to displaced residents, and urged the establishment of a forward operational base in the area.
Stop that the persistence of such attack endanger lives, livelihood, education, food, security, and other livelihood and existence of people in that area. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleague, if urgent coordinated action is not taken, many community will be deserted.
A mild drama also occurred when Abia lawmaker Obi Agwacha raised concerns over the health of detained IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu, briefly halting proceedings before the Deputy Speaker intervened to restore order.
Excuse me, sir, can you read the order book, Rule 6 and subsection 2, to know that I also have the right?
Honorable,
Yes, you do, but
you are ruled out of order. You are ruled out of order. You can sit down, please.
I have to.
Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has written to the House of Representatives seeking approval for the federal government to raise $2.34 billion in external capital to finance part of the 2025 budget deficit and refinance maturing Eurobonds. In a letter dated September 22, 2025, and read by Speaker Abbas Tajuddin, the President said the request was in line with the Debt Management Office Act 2003. Tinubu explained that the funds would be used to implement new external borrowing of $1.23 billion in the 2025 budget,
refinance a $1.12 billion Euro bond due in November 2025, and issue a $500 million sovereign sukuk in the international capital markets.
Issuance of Euro bonds, bridge finance facility from book runners, loan syndication, and direct borrowing from international financial institutions. 2, to issue a debit stand-alone sovereign sukuk for up to $500 million US with other credit enhancement from the Islamic Corporation for the insurance of investment and export credit.
He said the borrowing would be raised through Euro bonds, loan syndications, bridge financing, or direct loans from international financial institutions depending on market conditions. Tinubu noted that refinancing the Euro bonds aligns with global best practices and that proceeds from the sukuk would help repay high-cost debts and fund key infrastructure projects.
Following a recent Federal High Court ruling restraining the Nigeria police force from enforcing the tinted glass permit scheme, residents in Kaduna have called on the police to respect the court order. Some motorists say the use of tinted glasses provides convenience and enhances safety, especially in view of the prevailing security challenges in the country. Trust TV's Bello Musa completes the report.
Vehicles with tinted glasses are now a common sight on Nigerian roads. Many motorists say they prefer them for comfort, privacy, and security reasons. However, opinions differ on the enforcement of the tinted glass permit by the Nigerian police.
I decided to secure my car to put tinted as a form of security, because as we all know that the country is battling with one form of insecurity or the other, and whatever you have to do as an individual to protect yourself, to safeguard yourself is what we're trying to do. We all know that government cannot be everywhere, security agencies cannot be everywhere. So whatever you have to do as an individual to secure yourself, we are all doing it, and that's the reason why I decided to put tinted, so that, when I pass, we will not be able to know who is the one driving, whether I'm the one or not, just for security reasons.
While the matter remains before the court, some residents have appealed to the police to comply with the court injunction and refrain from clamping down on vehicles without tinted permits.
The police and the public today have been restrained from, or the police has been restrained rather, by a court injunction not to go ahead with that very particular operation or exercise until the determination of the suit, which is pending before the competent court of law. But in the meantime, if the police will swing into action in accordance with the time frame they've stipulated earlier, I think they are violating court orders. In fact, that means they are not respecting the court orders.
Yes, a court order stopping that, and I expect the Inspector General of Police to respect that order for now. Pending, as far as we are concerned, there's a court case on that very issue. He has to wait until after the hearing, then he can proceed. But I expect him at that level, as a law enforcement officer, he should respect the law.
Meanwhile, automobile tinters say business has declined since the controversy began. They contribute the drop in patronage not only to the uncertainty surrounding the permit issue, but also to the country's harsh economic situation.
Last
5 years, we used to record high patronage and charge 2,500 naira, but now we charge 10,000 due to the rising cost of materials. Although reports indicate that vehicles with tinted glasses are still being impounded in some states, checks within Kaduna metropolis show no police presence enforcing the ban. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
In Delta State, the Federal High Court sitting in Warri has issued an interim injunction restraining the Inspector General of Police and the Nigeria Police Force from implementing or enforcing the recently announced tinted glass permit policy slated to commence on Monday, October 6, 2025. The order followed a motion filed by John Ayepobo Martins, who sought to stop the police from proceeding with the enforcement of the policy, which he described as unlawful and burdensome to citizens. Delivering the ruling, Justice H.A. Nganjiwa granted an interim injunction restraining the defendant, the Inspector General of Police and the Nigeria Police Force, including their officers, agents, or contractors, from enforcing or further implementing the tinted glass permit policy pending the hearing and determination of the substantive motion before the court. The court also restrained the police and their agents from harassing, stopping, arresting, detaining, or impounding the vehicles of the plaintiff or any other person under the guise of enforcing the said policy. Furthermore, the court granted leave to the plaintiff to serve the originating summons and other court processes on the defendant through substituted means, specifically by FedEx Courier Service. Justice Nganjiwa described the applicant's move to seek judicial intervention as timely and proper, noting that the decision was made after hearing submissions from a legal team led by Kunle Edun San and several other counsel representing the plaintiff. The Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, Matthew Kuka, has led a list of concerned Nigerians to wade in the ongoing crisis between the Dangote Refinery and Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengasin. In a joint statement released by Kuka and 12 others, the bishop emphasized the need not to stifle the fundamental rights of Nigerian workers to join unions of their choice, adding that the recent industrial strike had sent out wrong signals to investors. Other members of the group include educationist Abubakar Sadiqi Muhammad, human rights activist Aisha Yesufu, economist Arun Maote, and investment banker Atedo Peterside. ECOWAS Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, Dr. Salamatu Hussein Suleiman, National Women Leader of Labour Party, Dudu Mamman Manuga, Ibrahim Dahiru Waziri, Khalifa Muhammad Sanusi II, Sarkin Kanu, Abonganwan Barbara Etim James, Opeyemi Adamo Lekun, Osita Chidoka, and Senator Shola Akinyede also jointly signed the statement. The group warned against monopoly, adding that other investors were free to play in the market. It said embarking on strike actions capable of harming Nigerians should be avoided. It commended the federal government and the Dangote Refinery for resolving the confrontational issues through dialogue, saying that the crisis was neither about the refinery nor any other business but about the economy. A coalition of Yoruba youth and Nigerian students has called on President Bola Tinubu and other key stakeholders to intervene in the ongoing crisis involving the Dangote Refinery and major oil unions, accusing the unions of economic sabotage. The protests, organized by the coalition of Yoruba youth and Nigerian students, brought about youth and students who were calling on the federal government to look into the matter. The report.
The demonstration, which took place in Ibadan on Tuesday, saw the protesters demanding protection for the Dangote refinery from what they described as agents of economic regression. Speaking during the protest, Benedict Adetunji, the national president of the National Association of Oduduwa Students, alleged that the major oil unions, including Pegasin, Dupeng, and Dapman, were colluding with international oil traders and marketers to frustrate the operations of the Dangote refinery.
Dangote refinery has come to stay, and there's no amount of Dangote for the piece of Pegasan, Dupeng, or Dapman that will stop Dangote. We are going to resist any of that. Only Balu with all our strength, with all our blood. We have come to say enough is enough. This element jointly killed our economy. This element crippled and with all the refineries in Nigeria.
During the protest, the Executive Assistant on Security to Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, Compo Sunday Udukoya retired, addressed the protesters and assured them that their demands will be forwarded to the appropriate authorities for swift action.
I think President Ashwaji Bola needs to do the same, to take a decisive action by putting an end to what is called Pegasus, rebel and government in Nigeria. The leadership has placed personal and corporate interests and professional progress. This union often align with import cartel and benefited from fair importation and the essence of local refining. The ICCN is calling for has done more harm than good to the Nigerian economy.
But I promise you that your letter will be delivered to His Excellency, the Executive Governor for your state, Engineer Oluseyi Makinde.
Also addressing the crowd, student leader Adekunle Adeniyi condemned what he described as importation of adulterated fuel by the unions. He urged President Tinubu to ensure fair and competitive crude oil allocations to all Nigeria-owned refineries and to ban the importation of petroleum products to encourage full-scale local refining.
This is News Hour on Trust TV, coming up after the break. Jungle justice on the rise as Nigerians despair over legal system. This and many more when we return. To stay with us. Welcome back from the break. In case you're just joining, this is News Hour on Trust TV. Let's take a look at our top stories again. We told you that Professor Yakubu hands over to Agbamuche as INEC acting chairman. And President Tinubu seeks $2.3 billion loan to bridge 2025 budget gap. Now, circling back to our headline story on the expiration of the tenure of Professor Mahmood Yakubu, we are now joined by an election observer and analyst to give us an insight on the development. His name is Dr. Suleiman. Good evening and thanks for joining us on the News Hour.
Thank you very much and good evening for having me.
Thank you for joining us.
Good evening and thank you for having me.
All right.
Thank you.
For some people, Professor Mahmood still has a couple of weeks left in his position. Is it common for him to step down now?
Not really, but I think it's a good decision and maybe a personal decision of his. As I understand from insiders around INEC, he was thinking that the next election that Nigeria has ahead, or that INEC has on its calendar, is coming up early November, which is just about 4 weeks from now. And that's also around the time that he is due to leave office as well. That's on November 9. So that means the new person coming in, or there will be, INEC will probably be having an election conducted with an acting leadership, which is something that has not really happened before. So he decided to, based on what I heard from insiders, he decided to exit the stage earlier in order to give the government and the system enough time to appoint someone else so that there will be a seamless kind of transition. So I think that's primarily the reason.
Now, the National Council of State is coming up this Thursday, and the president is expected to nominate Mahmood's successor. What do you make of some of the names that have been made public?
Well, I cannot make anything of the names because the only name that matters is the one that the president submits to the Senate and the one that he speaks to the National Council of State about. And so far, that has not yet happened. So I don't think it makes sense for people to be considering any names. You know, we've had 3 or 4, 5 names bandied around so far, which means that none of, at least each one of them has just about 20% kind of chance, because only one person can be nominated as chairman of INEC. So I don't think it makes much sense to be talking about the names that have been suggested. There's only one name that matters, which is the name that the president is going to submit any moment from now. Yes.
So finally, what is the task ahead of the next INEC chairman? Consolidation or reformation?
Thank you very much. I think that's the most important issue that we should all be focused on. If you look at it, if you look at Nigerian elections, you can divide from 1999 to date, you can divide them into two periods. You can say the period before 2011 and the period between 2011 and to date. The period between 1999 and 2010, most of our elections were quite problematic. And, you know, a lot of this is quite clear, in not just in terms of what people were saying about the elections, but also visibly in terms of the evidence on the ground. But from the electoral reform system in 2010, through the period of Atairu Jega, to the 10 years of Mahmoud Yakubu, we have had our electoral system has been getting better and better and better. So the issue now is, and to be honest with you, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu has done his very best in the country, I mean for the country and for Nigerian elections. And I assure you, over the next few years and months, people will begin to see how much that he has done. And so the real challenge now lies in whether we'll be able to consolidate this, as you said, rightly put, or whether we're going to have a reversal, which is what I strongly fear. Because the problem with democracy is that it's not a linear process, you know. Development is not linear. People go back and forth. So some institutions, they make gains, and then suddenly you find that those gains are abrogated or undermined by some challenges that come at some point again. So what we all wish for in this country is that the president appoints somebody who has the capability, who has the maturity, the sort of calmness that both Jega and Mahmoud Yakubu have demonstrated over the past 15 years, and the sort of expertise about Nigerian election, and the kind of independence of thought, independence of mind to conduct elections, free and fair elections in Nigeria, and declare whoever wins as winner without fear or favor. We hope that the president will do that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Suleiman, for joining us and for sharing your insights.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
And now to another development. The Supreme Court has acknowledged an existing High Court order restraining the United Bank for Africa UBA from releasing Osun State local government allocations to the court-sacked All Progressives Congress APC chairman. The Apex Court made the observation while hearing a suit filed by the Osun State government against the Attorney General of the Federation over the disputed local government funds. During Tuesday's proceedings, the Supreme Court noted the intervention of an Ibadan High Court, which had earlier issued an order barring UBA from paying the local government allocations pending the determination of the substantive case before it. This followed a complaint by counsel to the Osun State government, Musbau Adetumbi San, who informed the Apex Court that attempts were being made to pay the allocations to the APC camp despite the matter being sub judice. The court, satisfied that the High Court had acted to preserve the subject of the case, reaffirmed the need for all parties to maintain the status quo pending judgment.
You know that the letter, which I said is the foundation of the matter before their lordships. We've canvassed argument both left and right. Our contention is that is the letter with which the Federation intervened in the affairs of Osun State. So their lordships will look at the two sides, and Almighty God shall bless the wisdom of their lordships.
Now, after 8 months of strike, local government workers in Osun State have returned to work, bringing relief to residents who have feared renewed clashes between supporters of the All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party, PDP. But contrary to those fears, the atmosphere across council secretariats was calm. Many residents expressed delight that local government services had resumed and urged politicians to maintain the peace. Hamid Oyebade completes the report.
The strike, which began earlier in the year, followed the violent clashes between APC and PDP members over the control of local councils in the state. The Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) and the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees (NOGE) had directed workers to stay away from work for their safety. Following the recent release of the withheld local government allocations by the federal government, tensions have eased, even as court cases on the matter continue.
I'm very, very happy to resume because it's been almost 8 months that we have been at home doing nothing. That effort is just like a fruitless effort because I don't know the reason why we are at home. Staying at home, collecting salary without our deductions are there, they are not paying them. We have money in the cooperative not being paid. We have a lot of programs that we want to channel our money into, but we are not unable to do them.
A strike that started from February 17th and not to this moment. This is almost a month. That is why we say enough is enough, that people should go back to work.
At the Olorunda and Oshogbo local government council secretariats in Oshogbo, the state capital, workers were received by the APC political office holders who assured them of safety. The PDP officials, however, stayed away from the council secretariats in line with the directive of Governor Ademola Adeleke.
We resumed at the office today, 6th October 2025. We met the staff of Olorunda local government. They resumed to the office as they promised, which is very interesting, and we love it the way they did.
The council was peaceful because yesterday we see the announcement of the concerned local government workers that said they want to resume. With the help of our chairman and the chairman in the Olorunda government, we welcome them, and all the executive and the legislative welcome them. They resumed peacefully, and they were fully on ground.
We thank God that the atmosphere at Olorunda local government is very peaceful. About 3 days ago, we learned that the workers are going to resume, and they have fully resumed. And everything is very peaceful and very calm. No problem at all.
Residents say they want peace to continue and called on politicians to focus on delivering services to the people. Hamid Oyebade, Trust TV News, Oshogbo.
One of the major factors fueling the rising cases of jungle justice in Nigeria is a growing loss of confidence in the judicial system, as many Nigerians no longer believe that justice is fair or timely. With the worsening economic hardship across the country, some legal practitioners have linked the disturbing trend to economic hardship and the failure of the judiciary to effectively address the menace. The report.
Mob justice, commonly known as jungle justice, continues to claim lives across Nigeria. In many communities, angry mobs take the law into their own hands rather than report crimes to the police. Often suspected thieves or criminals caught in the act face instant and brutal punishments. This practice reflects the deep mistrust many Nigerians have in the country's justice system. Some believe that reporting suspects to the police is futile, as many alleged offenders are released within hours or days, often after bribing their ways to freedom. Court processes offer little relief, as delays and prolonged trials further weaken public confidence, thereby fueling mob justice.
I think jungle justice is primarily a result of the rot in the system. Because one, people no longer have confidence in the system, most especially the law. People feel that if one who has wronged the society, who has committed maybe an offense or a crime, is caught and handed over to the authorities, it takes a few days just for you to see that same person walking the street.
My advice to community is individually have to know what is right and what is wrong. What you know that to do someone do to you is not good, don't do to another person. Just be fair and truthful for yourself and the community that you stay and you live. You get.
There's a lot of ignorance, in the country, and a lot of people, take laws into their hands. So it's important that on issues that people are not well informed, they seek for, advice and information on those issues. Now, most of our people, because they are ignorant, and they feel that they have that impression that the court system is slow. So that's exactly sometimes why they engage in jungle justice. You discover that in many of the communities that we stay in, because a lot of people don't have that patience to go through the court system, they tend to take laws into their hands, which I am totally against.
Provision of the Nigerian Constitution is that section 1 subsection 3, that if any law is inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution, to the extent of this Constitution, the provision is not and void. As a matter of fact, there is no law for jungle justice. In addition, there is no proper education, that there is no reason for jungle justice.
Jungle justice carries devastating consequences as innocent people have been wrongly accused and killed due to mistaken identity or false allegations. Until Nigerians strengthen its justice system and tackles corruption within law enforcement, many communities will continue to see jungle justice as a quick, though dangerous path to justice.
Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has promised immediate rehabilitation of the State Civil Service Secretariat gutted by fire on Monday evening, describing the incident as unfortunate. Speaking during a visit to the scene on Tuesday to personally assess the level of damage, Governor Fubara expressed gratitude to God that no life was lost, noting that the damage was restricted to a small section of the building. Governor Fubara also commended the State Fire Service fighters for their prompt response, noting that previous investments made by his administration in the 3 fire service stations proved invaluable in containing the situation.
It's really unfortunate, but we give God all the glory that no life was lost and the damage was on just a section. It's like the secretariat has a crèche that takes care of babies. So I think it's that section that had that was affected by the fire. But there's one thing very important now. We've been talking about the renovation, the refurbishing of our very famous secretariat. And I believe with this particular incident, there won't be any reason not to continue it anymore. Whatever is required by this government to commence that process, we will immediately swing into action.
The Vice-Chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University, ABU Zaria, Professor Adamu Ahmad, has required the cost of energy for the running of the university. Speaking at the university to mark the 63rd anniversary of the institution in Zaria, the VC also raised concerns over the loss of staff to better opportunities within and outside Nigeria. Trust TV's Bello Musa has more.
Established by the late Premier of Northern Nigeria, Sir Ahmadu Bello, in 1962, the institution began with 4 faculties, 15 departments, and 426 students. 63 years down the line, the Vice Chancellor of the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, Professor Adamu Ahmad, said despite the milestone recorded from the inception to date, the institution is still struggling with some challenges.
Yes, certainly, in the last 1 year in particular, the university has paid nearly 4 billion naira in energy costs for the whole year. This, has definitely been unsustainable, and it continued to cripple us in our effort to, deliver academic programs and training of our students.
Aging infrastructure and lack of motivation by the staff remained major drawbacks to achieving the mission of the institution.
We cannot shy away from the challenges that persist. Funding constraints continue to affect our operations. We face the steady loss of talented staff to better opportunities within and outside Nigeria. Our aging infrastructure demands urgent renewal, and poor remuneration has dampened staff motivation.
Over 600,000 alumni of the university are shaping industries, government, and other institutions around the world. Bello Musa, Cross TV News Kaduna.
As Jigawa State joined the rest of the world to mark the 2025 World Teachers' Day, Governor Umar Namadi has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to improving teachers' welfare, training, and recruitment. This, the governor said, is aimed at strengthening the state's education sector. The report.
Speaking at the celebration held on Saturday at the Nuhu Mohammed Sanusi Dava ground in Dusi, Governor Namadi commended teachers for their dedication, resilience, and tireless service, describing teaching as the foundation upon which all other professions are built. He emphasized the crucial role teachers play in nation building, noting that every accomplished professional owes their success to a teacher who shaped their early journey.
While I commend the effort of SBEP toward building the capacity of our teachers, I believe by the time the Teacher Development Agency comes on board, all our teachers will continuously be trained and retrained to be in the best position to provide quality education for our pupils and students. In line with our commitment, we will continue to recruit teachers massively, both as JTs and permanent and pensionable basis. Let me also affirm our commitment toward improved recognition, welfare, and professional development support for our teachers throughout the state.
Governor Namadi further described teachers as mentors and moral guides who nurture young minds into becoming productive members of the society. He reiterated his government's determination to continue supporting teachers as key agents of social transformation. Highlighting new initiatives, the governor revealed that an executive bill for the establishment of the Jigawa State Teacher Development Agency has been forwarded to the State House of Assembly. The proposed agency, he said, will focus on continuous teacher training, retraining, and professional development.
When you talk of infrastructure, when you talk of building classes, building offices, building secretariat, building government infrastructure, I'm telling you, more than 60% of every brick and the cement spent on building is in schools and on teachers. Again, also, when you talk of incentive given to people who are workers, staff, I mean civil servants, I'm telling you, more than 60% of all the incentive goes to teachers in Jigawa State.
Earlier, the state chairman of the NUT, Nigeria Union of Teachers, Abdulkadir Yunusa, commended the Namadi's administration for its consistent support to the education sector. He listed several achievements, including the promotion of over 16,000 teachers, implementation of a 70,000 minimum wage, and the recruitment of more than 10,000 teachers across the state. Yunusa also praised the government's stride in digital transformation in schools, security fencing of education facility, and establishment of key agencies such as the Jigawa State Senior Secondary School Education Board, Jigawa Education Resource Agency, Education Quality Assurance Agency, and the Teacher Training and Development Agency.
Promotion of teachers across all educational sectors. Over 16,000 teachers have been promoted. Transform teachers to digital teaching and learning through numerous reforms like the Jigawa Unite, where government allocate billions of naira in an effort to improve teaching and learning at basic level.
Thank you, Digital Governor. Thank you, Digital Governor.
Government introduced school fencing program in an effort to improve the security level and also foster security personnel to our schools and hospitals through JUMEX program. Likewise, the effort to prevent encroachment in both day and boarding secondary school in our state.
The 2025 World Teachers' Day celebration, themed Recasting Teaching as a Collaborative Profession, brought together educators, stakeholders, and government officials who lauded the Namadi administration's reform aimed at alleviating the standard of education in Jigawa State.
Bauchi is set to hold its first ever investment summit aimed at attracting both local and foreign investors. The event seeks to create economic opportunities for small and large-scale industries, as well as entrepreneurs, to drive development in the state and the nation at large. Speaking during an international press conference ahead of the summit scheduled for 8th and 9th of October, the chairman of the organizing committee, Umar Sagagi, said Bauchi is a strategic destination for investors, given its geographical location, peace and stability. He added that the peaceful nature of the state continues to attract people from neighboring states. Responding to questions, the co-chairman and secretary to the state government, Alhaji Aminu Hamayo, reiterated the government's commitment to promoting tourism, culture, agriculture and exploring the state's solid mineral potential.
Even at the height of Boko Haram those days, how many instances can you count in those states? And now all the issues that were happening somewhere else, which we're not very happy with, the kidnappings, the armed robbery, many of the petty crimes and stuff, most of it is not available in most states. And I can testify that yesterday I arrived Bauchi just a minute before 12 midnight. And by road, I came from Canada, it's about 280 kilometers. And I was driving alone, there was nothing. So Bauchi State today, we have to thank the government and the people of Bauchi State for keeping their state safe. This is something that we must celebrate, and this is something worth emulating by other states.
And I will tell you that in the course of our road shows around the country, we've had proposals or propositions, and suggestions of us leveraging on what we have and then connecting them with other potentials elsewhere. For tourists coming into Nigeria, there isn't anything wrong with someone going to the Okosi, Warm Spring in Ogun, and then taking up Tinapa, and then linking up with Yankari, going to Sulu, all across. So these are the kind of partnerships, the kind of linkages that we seek.
And now in business, the central bank governor Olayemi Cardoso says both the inflation and foreign exchange market rate have stabilized. Speaking in Uyo on Tuesday during a Central Bank of Nigeria fair with the theme Driving Alternative Payment Channels as Tools for Financial Inclusion, Growth and Accelerated Economic Development, Cardoso attributed the stability to the bank's policies on sustainable economic growth and development of the country. And now on the foreign scene, the Benny Garrison Military Court handed down its verdict on Monday evening after 2 weeks of an intense trial in a case of collaboration with the Allied Democratic Forces. The trial marks a turning point in the fight against terrorism in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. 23 people received sentences ranging from 5 to 20 years of penal servitude. It's now time for sports updates with Kabir Lawal.
Nigeria's men and women hockey teams are buzzing with confidence as they chase the continental glory at the 2025 Hockey Africa Cup of Nations in Ismaila, Egypt from October 11th to 18th, 2025. Hockey Federation of Nigerian President Simon Nkom says both teams are primed for a strong outing after weeks of intensive preparation in Abuja. Nkom highlighted Nigeria's steady rise in global ranking from 56th to 36th in the world and 12th in hockey as proof of years of commitment to grassroots development. Both squads will depart Nigeria for warm-up games in Egypt ahead of the opening whistle. Head coach Ndana Abdullahi hailed the players' work ethic and focus, noting that the best 18 teams from an initial pool of 35 will make the final cut. The men's team will look to improve on their 2022 bronze finish in Accra, Ghana, while women's team eye a historic first-ever final appearance at the Continental Showpiece. Still on sport news, Team Nigeria delivered a commanding performance at the 2025 African Zone 2 Swimming Championship, breaking multiple continental records and unveiling a wave of talented young swimmers who are redefining Nigeria's presence on the African stage. Competing against top athletes from across West and Central Africa, Nigeria's swimmers put an exceptional show, collecting medals, setting new benchmarks, and showing that the country's investment in youth swimming is paying off, who turned the championship into a record-breaking spectacle. The teenage sensation set 5 new African Zone 2 records, winning 6 gold medals, 1 silver, and 1 bronze across multiple events. He was voted the most valuable junior athlete of the tournament. That's Sport News. I am Kabir Lawal.
To wrap a news hour, do not forget to follow us across all social media platforms for more programs, news and documentaries. I am Yakubu. Good night.
Trust News Center. This is the News Hour.